The Watcher's Notebook. Lucas was a creature of habit. Every morning, he woke up at 6:30, made coffee, and read the newspaper by the large bay window in his small apartment. From there, he could see into the park across the street, a quiet, serene place where joggers ran, children played, and dog walkers passed by. It was his peaceful little slice of the world. One morning, as he sipped his coffee, he noticed something odd. On a bench near the park's fountain, a man sat, motionless, staring directly at Lucas's apartment. The man was middle-aged, wearing a plain gray coat and a black hat, holding what looked like a notebook in his lap. At first, Lucas thought nothing of it. People sat in the park all the time. But as the days went on, the man was always there, always sitting on the same bench, always staring at Lucas's window. By the end of the week, Lucas couldn't ignore it anymore. The man never moved, never read the notebook in his lap, never even glanced at the people around him. He just sat there, looking up at Lucas's apartment. It started to get under Lucas's skin. That Saturday, Lucas decided to confront him. He crossed the street, his hands shoved into his jacket pockets, and approached the bench. "Hey!" Lucas called out, his voice sharper than he'd intended. "Can I help you with something?" The man didn't respond. Up close, he looked even stranger. His skin pale, almost waxy, his eyes glassy and unblinking. Lucas leaned in, waving a hand in front of the man's face. "Hello? Are you okay?" The man didn't react, but Lucas noticed his hand twitch slightly. His fingers clutched the notebook tighter, as if guarding it. Against his better judgment, Lucas reached for the notebook. The moment his fingers brushed the cover, the man's head snapped toward him, his eyes locking onto Lucas with startling intensity. "Don't," the man said, his voice low and mechanical, as if the word had been forced out of him. Lucas stumbled back, his heart racing. The man's gaze didn't waver, his hand still clutching the notebook. I'm sorry," Lucas stammered. I thought you might need help." The man said nothing else. Feeling unnerved, Lucas backed away and returned to his apartment, locking the door behind him. But the image of the man's cold, unblinking stare stayed with him. Who was he, and why was he always watching? That night, Lucas couldn't sleep. He kept glancing out the window, expecting to see the man. But the bench was empty, the park bathed in the soft glow of streetlights. Eventually, exhaustion took over, and Lucas drifted off. He woke suddenly, his heart pounding, though he didn't know why. The room was dark, but something felt wrong. Slowly, he sat up and looked toward the window. The curtains were open, and there, standing on the sidewalk across the street, was the man. He wasn't sitting anymore. He was standing, staring up at Lucas's window. The notebook was still clutched in his hand. Lucas's stomach twisted. He grabbed his phone and dialed the police, explaining that a strange man had been watching him for days and was now outside his apartment. The dispatcher assured him that an officer would be sent to check it out. But by the time the police arrived, the man was gone. The next morning, Lucas couldn't stop thinking about the man. He felt trapped in his own apartment, unable to concentrate on anything. By the afternoon, he decided he couldn't take it anymore. He had to find out what was in that notebook. He went to the park, hoping to confront the man again, but the bench was empty. Lucas wandered the paths, scanning every corner of the park, but the man was nowhere to be found. Defeated, he returned home. But as he unlocked his door, he froze. There, lying on the floor just inside his apartment, was the notebook. His blood ran cold. He hadn't left his door unlocked. Slowly, he picked up the notebook, his hands trembling. The cover was plain, the leather cracked and worn. He opened it to the first page and his breath caught. The notebook was filled with sketches, detailed, precise sketches of Lucas, sitting at his window, walking to the store, sleeping in his bed. The drawings grew darker as the pages went on, showing Lucas surrounded by shadowy figures, his face twisted in fear. On the last page was a single sentence, scrawled in jagged handwriting. "I was here to warn you." Lucas felt a chill creep up his spine. He turned the page and his stomach dropped. It was a sketch of his living room, his current view right at that moment. And in the corner of the drawing, by the window, was the man. But when Lucas looked up, he wasn't alone. Thanks for stepping into the unknown with us. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, drop a comment with your favorite twist, and don't forget to subscribe, because the best stories always have another chapter waiting. See you in the shadows.